you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert, covering Sports Illustrated destroying itself after constant woke nonsense. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Coming from the Wall Street Journal, Sports Illustrated lays off most of its staff, putting brand's future in jeopardy. Publisher to lay off possibly all unionized staffers, according to the union. From the New York Times, Sports Illustrated thrown into chaos with mass layoffs. The announcement on Friday left in doubt what lies ahead for the venerable publication, with some staff members dismissed immediately and others told they would keep their jobs for at least 90 days. And from the Washington Post, layoffs imperil Sports Illustrated as owner-publisher battle over money. What's going on with Sports Illustrated is they're failing. This was one of their Sports Illustrated supermodels from 2022. She's obese, and okay, that's fine for her. She shouldn't feel bad about herself if she doesn't want to, but she doesn't belong on the cover of a Sports Illustrated magazine or in the interior of a Sports Illustrated magazine. It's wildly off-brand. And it's not the first time they did that. And so that I'm clear, when I say off-brand, I mean when you have an expectation. Let's say you go and you want to buy a Diet Pepsi. You buy the Diet Pepsi. You start drinking the Diet Pepsi. And you say to yourself, why does this taste like orange juice? The answer is, what are you, a bigot? You don't like orange juice? Well, first of all, it has nothing to do with whether or not I like orange juice. The package said Diet Pepsi. Why did you put orange juice in the Diet Pepsi? I had a certain expectation. It's as if the woke people think they can redefine the entire human condition, or if not redefine it, at least destroy it. And with nothing left to aspire to, nothing left to be interested in, nothing left to be inspired about, no one left to be attracted to, they can just completely destroy and control culture. That has to be what they're doing. They're not dumb. They got where they were in the first place, but now it's turned into this. That wasn't enough. It's not enough that they have chubby chasers they're trying to target for a mainstream publication. Have you ever heard the expression chubby chaser? This is what it means. It's a noun. A chubby chaser, plurally chubby chasers, is a person who specifically is sexually attracted to overweight or obese people. And that's what this model is for. I don't mean to denigrate this model anyway. She knows she's a big girl, and that's fine. Does this belong in Sports Illustrated? No, this is not how they made the brand. It doesn't belong in Sports Illustrated. But that's not all they did. They've got Martha Stewart as a Sports Illustrated cover model. Does that mean that 81-year-old people can just all of a sudden put on bathing suits and belong on the cover of a magazine that promotes healthy young beauty? No, they can't do that. It's nice, I guess. You could do it as a throwaway. You have the chubby chasers, you have Martha Stewart, and you've got the transgender Kim Petras. Is that appropriate? Who needs that? What's the point of that? How is that going to sell extra magazines? If you subscribe to the publication so that you'll get your issues on a regular basis every year, okay, great. And then they're going to send you things like this with Martha Stewart, an obese woman that you're supposed to look at and say, oh, well, what are they doing? How did that happen? And then other transgender superstars? Who's next? Dylan Mulvaney? This is what Sports Illustrated is. This is Tyra Banks. And it just goes back to 2019. This isn't going back 50 years or 100 years. This was when they were maintaining what the brand is all about. Danielle Harrington, Kate Upton, and girl after girl after girl who is an appropriate cover for a swimsuit model. As much as Sports Illustrated is an important brand, and it's been around for decades upon decades, they are not going to reinvent stereotypical beauty that's based on youth and attractiveness that is a core part of humanity. They're just not going to have the juice to do it. In addition to that, not only are they not going to be able to successfully reinvent beauty, they're not going to be able to continue in business. The company that's publishing Sports Illustrated doesn't even own the rights to Sports Illustrated. It's being published under a license. There's really nothing wrong with that, except I don't know why you would spend so much money to promote someone else's property. Arena Group Holdings is the publisher. Their stock right now is at 84 cents. In the past 5 years, it's down 93.5%. That's a lot. In the past year or so, it's down 89%. That's also really bad. If you look at their website, you click on brands. Okay, they do Sports Illustrated, they do The Street, they own Parade, Men's Journal. These are some known names. They obviously don't own all of them, but they also sell advertising for their magazines. So if you click on advertisers, here's what they say about advertising. Scale, efficiency, impact. The Arena Group offers advertising partners multiple ways to effectively reach target audiences and make an impact. This is terrible. They're in the business of selling magazines, but they're also in the business of selling advertising. This just shows you their focus is not on generating revenue. The company that actually owns the Sports Illustrated brand is called Authentic Brands. They own a lot of brands you've probably heard of before. Sports Illustrated is just one of them. They also own Fredericks of Hollywood, Forever 21, Izod. They're handling licensing for Muhammad Ali as well as Elvis. And that's a great business model. They're in no trouble. They buy brand properties and then they license them out for multiple purposes and generate a lot of revenue. These guys, the Arena Group that got the rights to publish the Sports Illustrated magazine and also operate their website online, must have fallen in love with the brand and gotten nuts, and then decided to try to change all of human history by pushing the woke agenda. From the New York Times, Sports Illustrated, the venerable Bible of sports journalism, has been in decline for years as the internet annihilated print magazines and cost-cutting turned the weekly publication into monthly and whittled its staff. But on Friday, the magazine received perhaps its toughest blow yet. The magazine industry has had tremendous problems. Magazines are not how people get their information very much anymore. But at the same time, no, you don't need to have obese swimsuit models. You don't need to have 81-year-old swimsuit models. And you don't need to annoy your customers. You need to serve your customers. Anyone who has a Sports Illustrated subscription was expecting to see beautiful women in their swimsuit issue. They don't need to be re-educated on what beauty is supposed to be, according to some progressive people. The company that publishes Sports Illustrated said in an email to employees that it was laying off many of them, leaving in doubt what lies ahead for the publication. The move came after the Arena Group, which publishes the magazine and website under a complicated management structure, had its license to operate the publication revoked. And why did they lose their licensing arrangement? Because they didn't pay their licensing fee. And they didn't pay their fee because they weren't making any money because they're trying to sell things to people that they don't want. Reporters and editors for Sports Illustrated were asked on Friday to attend a Zoom call at 2 p.m. It lasted just 7 minutes. On the call, Jay Frankel, the Arena Group's newly hired Chief Business Transformation Officer, said, quote, "We will continue to produce the Sports Illustrated brand and online content until the situation is fully resolved," according to a recording of the meeting heard by the New York Times. No questions were taken. What is a Chief Business Transformation Officer? He or she acts as the face of the transformation, sets the tone, spurs enthusiasm, and challenges current wisdom. Here's some current wisdom. You're not going to have a job anymore. That's what he had to tell them. Like a military drill sergeant who demands daily push-ups and 10-mile runs, the CTO has the objective to make the organization fitter so as to sustain the effort over the long term. Some Sports Illustrated staff members received emails with immediate layoff notices, while others were told in further Zoom meetings that they would keep their jobs for at least 90 days. Roughly 100 journalists worked for Sports Illustrated. Arena Group's executives told Sports Illustrated staff members they planned on continuing to publish the magazine and website, despite having their license to operate the publication revoked. But it was not immediately clear how that would work. It was also unclear whether the magazine's owner, Authentic Brands Group, would strike a new agreement with the Arena Group or find a new company to operate it. But it seems certain that even if Sports Illustrated survives in some form, it will be severely diminished. Arena, the publisher of Sports Illustrated, is behind on their payments to the guys that own the rights to Sports Illustrated. They've already paid some $45 million worth of licensing over the past few years, against a 10-year deal, which could continue to pay the owner of Sports Illustrated tens of millions of dollars more money if they can actually pay it. It looks like they can't pay it. Losing the license really does put the whole thing in jeopardy. They just can't continue to operate without paying for the licensing fee. They might file bankruptcy. That might buy them some time on the licensing deal. It is a complete mess. And if they're not going to do something different, where they're actually going to produce things their customers would actually want, how could the magazine exist anyway? The mood among staff members in the wake of the layoff announcement was a mix of anger, frustration, and confusion. Journalists at Sports Illustrated texted and messaged one another on Slack, unsure in some cases who'd been laid off and what the ultimate fate of the magazine would be. Anyone who's facing layoffs, it's a tragic situation. But if you're working for a company and they're trying to push new beauty standards and they're not doing well financially, and they're not owned by some multi-billion-dollar company, which Arena is not, you need to go and find something else to do, even if you believe in this nonsense, because it's not financially viable. You can't do this and get away with it and have the business not be destroyed. Disney gets away with it, or at least they're sort of getting away with it because they're such a big company and they have guaranteed revenues that are much higher than their movie losses. For decades, Sports Illustrated was a weekly must-read for sports fans and a financial engine for the Time Incorporated empire. It once had over 3 million subscribers, and its writing, reporting, and photography were considered the pinnacle of sports journalism. Landing on the cover was the most coveted endorsement an athlete could receive, even well into the television and internet years. And its annual swimsuit issue was a pop culture phenomenon. Quote, I think it's one of the best magazines to ever exist, with some of the best photographers, writers, and editors that have ever been in one building, said Rick Riley, who for years wrote the magazine's popular Backpage column. He added, if it is really dead, it has kind of been dying. Sports Illustrated has indeed been in trouble for years. It struggled to shift to the digital media world, and it was hampered by mismanagement. Meredith purchased Time Warner Incorporated, which included Sports Illustrated and other media assets for $3 billion in 2017. 2 years later, the media conglomerate sold Sports Illustrated to Authentic Brands Group, which is primarily a licensing company that acquires the rights to celebrity brands for $110 million. It was bought for the value of the Sports Illustrated name and intellectual property, not because Authentic Brands intended to run a magazine. The Arena Group quickly struck a 10-year agreement with Authentic Brands Group to operate and publish Sports Illustrated. It paid at least $45 million for the right to do so, while Authentic Brands Group retained commercial rights for things like a potential Sports Illustrated branded hotel in Michigan. In a statement, Authentic Brands Group said it was committed to ensuring that the brand of Sports Illustrated, which includes its editorial arm, continues to thrive as it has for the past nearly 70 years. The Arena Group is in negotiations with Authentic Brands Group and plans to continue to publish Sports Illustrated, said Rachel Fink, an Arena Group spokesperson. But we hope to be the company to take Sports Illustrated forward, but if not, we are confident that someone will, she said in a statement. They don't sound very confident, and they don't sound like they know what they're doing with a statement like that. There's no point in making a statement like that. It really just undermines her company as well as the Authentic Brands company. It sounds like no one knows what's going on. Over the past decade, Sports Illustrated newsroom has shrunk. The company's last remaining staff photographers, the illustrated in Sports Illustrated, were let go in 2015, and several rounds of layoffs followed. The magazine, once published weekly, now comes out monthly. Many of the stories on its website are now written by little-paid contractors. Despite those changes, the publication's digital audience has grown steadily. In December, Sports Illustrated drew more than 50 million visitors, according to ComScore, doubling its audience from 4 years earlier. The layoffs at the magazine are the latest piece of bad news for the publishing industry, whose fortunes have gone from bad to bleak in recent months. Storied publications like the Los Angeles Times and the Washington Post, which are owned by deep-pocketed billionaires, have slashed their newsrooms over the last year as advertising revenue dried up and attracting new online subscribers proved elusive. Even startups that were once hailed as the future of the media industry, like BuzzFeed and Vice, have abandoned or sharply curtailed their news-gathering efforts as investors soured on digital publishing. The union representing Sports Illustrated confirmed that the Arena Group is laying off many Sports Illustrated employees. Quote, this is another difficult day in what has been a difficult 4 years for Sports Illustrated under Arena Group, according to the union. We are calling on ABG to ensure the continued publication of Sports Illustrated and allow it to serve our audience the way it has for nearly 70 years. Yeah, ABG doesn't have the money to pay for the licensing. That's the problem. They said they'll just keep publishing without a license. I can assure you that's not going to last too long. It has been a particularly tumultuous several months at Sports Illustrated. In August, Manoj Bhargava, the entrepreneur behind the 5-Hour Energy drink, agreed to buy a major stake in the Arena Group, raising hopes that he might provide a measure of stability. But shortly after he agreed to buy the stake, Sports Illustrated was thrown into chaos. Several of the Arena Group's senior executives were forced out of the company, including its chief executive, Ross Levinson, its president, Rob Barrett, its chief operating officer, Andrew Kraft, and its general counsel, Julie Fenster. In November, reports circulated that Sports Illustrated had published product reviews under fake author names, seemingly generated by artificial intelligence, which the Arena Group blamed on a vendor. Quote, my God, they had AI writers with backstories, robots they were trying to pass off, Mr. Riley said, before invoking renowned Sports Illustrated writers. This is a place that hired Jim Murray and Dan Jenkins. The situation got worse after that. In early January, the Arena Group failed to make a $3.75 million payment to Authentic Brands Group, breaching its licensing agreement. Days later, Mr. Bhargava resigned as its interim chief executive officer, and the company signed an agreement with FTI Consulting to help turn the business around. I will also tell you this, is that it's one thing for a business to miss a licensing payment. These kinds of things do happen in business. Companies do communicate with each other and say, hey, look, we're a little short on cash flow. We're doing a new financing round. We have money coming in, or it may be at least 30 days until we can make this payment. They have some kind of communication. Missing a payment early January, I mean, it's like the third week of January now. It's not that far into the year. So for this to be a public story where they're losing their license means Arena has either been late with Authentic Brands before on payments, or Authentic Brands is looking at this and saying this is a complete dumpster fire. We do not want our brand associated with this company. Of course, Arena is headed for more and more trouble, and it looks like a terrible business. Not investment advice, that's just my opinion. Things came to a head on Thursday when Authentic Brands Group sent Arena Group a letter terminating the Sports Illustrated license, according to public filings, setting off an immediate $45 million payment to Authentic Brands Group. The same day, Arena Group announced it was cutting 1/3 of its workforce. When you cut 1/3 of your workforce, basically you're saying we're out of business. Now, it doesn't mean they're actually out of business, but they may as well be out of business if they're going to cut 1/3 of their workforce. Mr. Levinson, who himself oversaw cuts to Sports Illustrated newsroom amid industry headwinds, resigned from Arena's board on Friday. He reacted to news of the layoffs on LinkedIn, calling them, quote, one of the most disappointing things I've ever witnessed in my professional life. A spokesman for Mr. Bhargava said in a statement that Arena Group was in active negotiations with Authentic Brands. And we aren't the only ones. They have been approached by others as well. Based on this interest, we expect the great institution of Sports Illustrated will continue, survive, and grow. In 2020, shares of the Arena Group traded for as much as $14.20. On Friday, they were trading for under $1. Authentic Brands, the company that actually owns the rights to Sports Illustrated, is not going to be making a new deal with Arena. They obviously don't like this company. They cancel the license when it's just a couple of weeks late on payment, as opposed to giving them even a 30-day grace period. Clearly, the people at Sports Illustrated were trying to bite off much more than they could chew, and if they weren't so busy trying to push woke versions of what human beings are, they could have just served up the kind of things that people expect to get when they buy a Sports Illustrated magazine and they look forward to the Sports Illustrated annual swimsuit issue. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.